Hello, welcome back to the channel. This one's going to be another technical analysis basics video. It's going to be on trend lines, so let's get into it. So before we jump into trend lines, I hope you are enjoying this technical analysis kind of thing that I'm doing. There is a playlist of which you can tap onto in the top right hand corner if you're not too sure about other indicators and kind of movements and that kind of thing. So yeah, what are trend lines? Trend lines for me are something that I can use, similar to moving average, is that I can use to identify a trend. And what I do is I combine it with different indicators to really solidify my decisions to going into some investments. They're also good to draw to see where a stock might go, and obviously then anticipate where the stock might go if it breaks that particular trend and then starts a new one. So in this video we'll go over a couple of examples that we can do, a positive one and a negative one, and we see if we can learn what trend lines are that way. So as I briefly mentioned before, they are similar to moving average in terms of the way that the stock moves and bounces off that particular trend line. So obviously I do combine them with different indicators like RSI and support and resistance lines, etc. And they are used to basically identify a more kind of accurate entry and exit point with your investments. So let's go ahead and look at a couple of examples. So first up here we have Tesla. I use Tesla quite a lot in these demonstrations just because they're a stock that everyone knows, and they're quite interesting to look at on terms of a chart basis. They're fairly active. So yeah, that's why I use Tesla, and you can see here I've already got quite a few lines on here before. Now if you have seen my support and resistance lines video before, then you'll know what these are here. The horizontal lines going across the screen, and then we have this green line here which is a trend line. Now I've drawn that, and you can see I've drawn that on a few points of contact, and that's basically what we do with trend lines. So what I'm going to do is delete this one. So we right click and hit remove, and then to show you how to draw a trend line, we're going to head up into the top left hand corner. You can see this line, click on the little arrow, and what we can do is hit trend line. You can also use the shortcut of option T, which I normally do, but obviously for the purpose of this demonstration I will just hit trend line. So we just hit on that, and then we tap anywhere on the screen. You don't have to hold it, then you move the mouse, and then you tap again just to confirm your placement basically. And then what you can do is you can click and hold on these circles, and you can just move it around wherever you want. So what I would like to do is hit this point of contact down here at the range of 547, because that's when that kind of trend, it looks like it's changed, it's reversed, it's bounced off that kind of support line, which we can actually add in here if we do option H, and it just draws an extra kind of trend line there if we wanted to. But obviously for the purpose of this video that's not what we're doing. We're going to remove that. So that's where I would start the trend line, and I would probably move it where the most points of contact are. So you can see if I did it here, we can see a point of contact here, here, here. I know I keep saying here a lot, but you know, it's just where the point of contacts are, and you can see it on the screen where I'm tapping. And there's lots of points of contact throughout this line. I mean, you could draw a few more, and you could probably move that even around here as well, just a little bit lower. So you've got points of contact basically there, basically here, definitely here, on this kind of point here, and around this kind of time as well here. And you can see that basically in the last 5 months or so it has been following that trend quite well. Now the reason I've drawn these lines horizontally is just basically the way I use trend lines. Obviously people use trend lines in different ways. They have like different trading patterns and all that, but that's more for kind of day traders. But for kind of long-term traders and kind of swing traders, this is the way I use it at least. So I combine it with these resistance and support lines. So for example, if we were looking towards obviously the next kind of month or so as a negative sentiment for Tesla stock, and then it breaks through the trend line, it may break through, and it will, let's just draw a line as an example of where the stock might go. The stock might just basically go downwards, and it'll break through this trend line that we've drawn. Let's go ahead and turn that red while we can, and that will then obviously send the stock south, and it will break through this trend line, and it will probably start a new trend. Now that trend could then bounce off of this line of support, in which case we would be looking for it to break through this line of resistance, and then this line of resistance as well. But if it was then to break through this support line, we would then be looking at the next strongest support line, which is around this kind of period as I've pre-drawn, because obviously that's not this video. Then if it bounces off there, then great. If it goes down below, then we have to obviously reconsider another support line. But obviously the sentiment with Tesla and all of that kind of thing is fairly positive at the moment. So from a personal perspective of this stock, I would probably see it going up, following this trend line again still, and probably hitting at 844 and maybe reversing the trend. Or if it breaks through, then who knows where the stock could go. That's kind of out of our control, and obviously, well, all of it's out of our control, but that's out of our control in terms of a trend analysis. So let's go ahead and look at another example. We're going to go ahead and go on NEO. This is a negative trend line. Now I wanted to kind of do a demonstration on both positive and negative trend lines. And you can see here the stock was up at $55 not so long ago, a few months ago, and it's basically been trending downwards. There's not a huge amount of points of contact here, but I have drawn basically from the last high, and I've kind of come down to the most recent low, shall we say. But you could then move it around about here, because then you've got a point touch here, almost a touch there, and a point that's touched here. And in which case we are in a bit of a predicament. So let's zoom in, let's have a look. And you can see here, obviously the stock's kind of bouncing around this support level of 35.25. It has almost touched this another support level at 31. But we will be looking, if we can break through this trend line in a positive manner, we will be looking at kind of resistance lines up in this kind of area. So let's go ahead and whack one in randomly, and then we can just move that up and down until we see a fairly good point of where it's bounced off, etc. So maybe here, because obviously what we've got here is back here is a few touches, etc. And then there's one really important bounce of the resistance here, and then it's used it as support around this kind of period. So we would be looking at kind of 40 plus, definitely. You could probably even draw one around here actually. Let's do that. Around 40, almost exactly 40, and that's a nice kind of 15% kind of push to the upside, and then that would then start another trend, and then we could go ahead and draw another trend line, of which we can go up in the top left hand corner, or we can just do Option T and then click anywhere on the screen, which I would obviously do the point of low. If that were to be the case, then it might actually just go straight up to 60 as an example. I'm not saying that's happening, I'm just using it as an example, as demonstration purposes, and I would probably colour that green because obviously it is an upward momentum. I should probably have coloured that one red because it is negative momentum, but there you go. That's how it works. That's how I work. Just happens. So yeah, that's trend lines really. That's how I look at them. That's how I use them. I use them with support. You can also use them with RSI, but I don't want to overcomplicate things at this stage. There will be a video in the future where I basically combine all of these and we do kind of in-depth technical analysis videos for you. We can look at stocks, maybe where they can go and where they've been, etc, etc. So I hope this video has been useful for you and you've learned something about trend lines. If you have, leave a comment down below. I'd really love to know. And yeah, that's basically it for this video. Make sure you check out my other technical analysis videos on the top right hand corner. I've done quite a few of them. It is a playlist, so you can click on it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Invest safe, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.